Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa
Walaikum
barakatuh.
assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I am so honored to be here today with one of the early founders of our community. Bismillah, mashallah. I have brother Dr. Ismail. I have Dr. Mussarat, Dr. Khalid. I am very honored to have you here today. Today, our talk, inshallah, is gonna speaking about the early memories of how ICCD was formed in the early days. Those beautiful memories that we have, and I'll be honored to hear from you. So I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Ismail. Please introduce yourself to us and tell us about the early days in ICCD. Bismillah.
My full name is Mohammed Ismail.
Now,
Before me, Sister Mussarat was here,
mashallah.
I think before me, 1 year before that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a few months,
Yeah.
just 3 months.
Okay.
yes.
And I came in July 1971
Mashallah.
from Hyderabad, Sindh,
Mashallah.
to right here in Albany.
Yes.
I graduated in 1963. I did MBBS
Yes.
from Liaquat Medical College, Jamshoro, Hyderabad,
Mashallah.
63. And then I asked my mom, soon after the graduation, I want to go to USA. And my mom said, no, you cannot go even to Karachi, which is 100 miles from Hyderabad. You have
Mashallah.
to stay here. So I stayed for 7 years.
Mashallah.
I worked for the hospital.
Yes.
And then after 7 years, I requested my mom
Yes.
that I want to go for just 1 year and I'll come back because I'm now in service and I can get the 1 year long vacation.
Yes.
And she allowed me.
Mashallah.
But that did not work out because I didn't get the long vacation. Finally, I have to resign from there. I came over here just for 1 year. Now it's more than that. I'm here. Thank God that my mom was here. So just for the community's sake, I want to make it short, different. When I came here in 71, I joined Memorial Hospital, Albany, for the internship. At that time, if you see the Memorial Hospital, there is not much around there, no shopping center, nothing like that. My apartment was just across Memorial. And whenever in the evening, when I get through from the duty, go around, I don't find anything. No shopping center, no car, no rickshaw, no taxi. We go around by foot and they come back into the apartment. There were not too many Muslims. Very rarely, if we see one, we'll request, hey, please come in. We'll offer tea, coffee, drink, dinner. Anyhow, there were only very few Muslims. We got together. Very first Eid was in 71, which we had in a church, which is across the RPI, that auditorium. It was very small church. We were only 13 or 14 people only on the Eid.
Yes.
And we enjoyed. We used to get together, sometimes in church, sometimes at home. We pray, sometimes in home, somebody's home. We make Jummah prayer in somebody's home, And that continued for a while. Community grew. And there was a brother. His name was Muhammad Ali. He was from Yemen. When I came in 71, he was here for the last 35 years.
Subhanallah.
He had a farm in Rensselaer where he had a kettles and he had a big farm. And at that time, he was very interested that the mosque should be built on his place. He offered 1 acre. Community, which was very small, decided that, okay, we will make mosque over there. Some objected that it's too far. But anyhow, this was the plan for the community. But there was another brother, Shauki Zohran. He was engineer from the GE.
Yes.
When we made the decision, at that time he was out of country. When he came back, and when he heard that we are planning to have a mosque in that form in Renshaw, he said, hold on. Don't proceed with your plan. Let me look around some place.
Yes.
So he looked around and he found this place.
This masjid right here.
This was the land, 4.5 acre. Cost was $14,000.
Wow.
He presented to the community. Community right away agreed. He said that I will pay 14,000. Community said no. We will all share. I think by that time, Dr. Bhatti came around and he took a leading part as well, collecting the money and those things. So we contributed.
MashaAllah.
There was 14,000 before that in the fund. We kept it as such that we will use for the building of the mosque. During that time, when we were planning to buy this mosque, he went to Middle East, Shoki Zoran, for the fundraising. And he collected quite a good amount. According to my memory, it was 70,000, but brother Khalid Bhatti remembers slightly differently. And at that time, we tried to call the engineers, builders, and they gave the estimate of 180,000 for the whole mosque. When we collected up to 100,000, we told to the builder that, okay, why don't we start building? We'll continue to pay. And hopefully when you complete the project, we'll be able to complete your payment. And alhamdulillah, it happened the same way. When they completed the project, we were able to pay all the amount. And this mosque was opened in 1978.
MashaAllah.
And
So that's officially the first year of the masjid at ICCD.
that's right.
1978.
1978.
Can you remember the day that we have the first opening, or the
No.
month at
I'll
least?
mention about that. My recollection is a little different.
Okay.
He may have slightly different actually. During that time,
Yes.
I had a very good help from brother from Iraq. His name was Mustafa Al-Qadi.
Yes.
Mustafa was from Iraq. You want to have some detail about that? I mean, I can.
Well, we could talk about the other details, but we want to talk about the beginning years of the community, inshallah, today.
Yeah, that was the beginning that he came from Iraq.
Yes.
He used to live in Kingston.
Yes.
His elderly brother, Hafiz Al-Qadi, fell, had a bleed, had a respiratory failure, admitted in Albany Medical Center.
Yes.
At that time, I was working and I'm doing my fellowship in lung disease.
Yes.
I took care of him over there. He was there for 9 months in that hospital. Al-Qadi, Mustafa Al-Qadi, became very helpful for the community.
MashaAllah.
He just became just like a community from here. Whenever we have the meeting, he will join. And then he brought another brother, Abu Shakir. Brother Shakir was from France, big businessman, and he did help a lot.
MashaAllah.
When he came to know that we are contributing to the mosque, very first check he wrote was $1,000 at that time. And then he sent from London $25,000
MashaAllah.
one time. And after that, he continued to contribute, both of them. And they were very
This is
good support.
1970.
That was before 1978,
Yes.
before the mosque was
This is the
completed.
building into, or the momentum getting all this money being donated until 1978.
That's right.
MashaAllah.
So that's how we collected the money.
Yes.
And alhamdulillah, we opened up the mosque in 1978.
MashaAllah.
And at that time, we felt that, boy, we have really built a big mosque. We are not that big community.
Yes.
But very soon we realized that this mosque now is becoming smaller.
Absolutely.
And then we look for the other resources. In RPI students, they started the mosque. Brother Khalid may know more detail about that.
Inshallah.
And that was the Troy Muslim community.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah.
Yeah, that continued for a while.
Yes.
And when we grow and we could not hold the Jummah prayer in that place, then we tried to rent the place from the RPI, big hall, and we will pray over there.
How many people back then were praying at that time?
That was quite a good number. I mean, including the RPI students, the community. I think we were unable to hold into Tri Mosque, which was a small, which was a funeral home, and we bought for the mosque.
Muslim community was expanding back then.
Yeah, it was expanding, but not that fast.
Correct.
It was expanding slowly. Anyhow, and then we plan to have a new project.
Inshallah.
Now, between this time, there are few other development, like 9/11 happened.
But we will come back to 9/11.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask Sister Mussarat also to explain to us her point of view
Sure.
from that period of time, because you said that she joined, or she was here before you joined
For
the community.
me, yeah.
Sister Mussarat, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum
How are you,
assalam.
Sister Mussarat? Jazakallah khairan. You can
Talk to you or
yeah,
the
you can talk to me.
camera?
Actually, it's better to talk to
Okay.
me. If you want, it's up to you. It's our
No, it's
preferences.
whichever way.
Yes,
So,
yes.
okay, inshallah.
Jazakallah khairan. So tell us about your first early memories.
So, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Salatu salam ala Rasulullah.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Wasabi.
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yes, when maybe, like the details Dr. Ismail just gave, I can start back then. It was 1970. It was 1970 when I finished my medical school, my residency over in Pakistan,
Yes.
in Lahore, Pakistan. And the American government was looking for doctors, and because the Vietnam War was going on. And I applied. Let me try what happens. My brother had just moved to California, to Berkeley, to do his master's. And lo and behold, a hospital from New Jersey, Somerset, New Jersey says, come on over, we'll pay you the ticket and everything. And so I talked to my mother and say, I got the ticket, I'm going. And my mother says, no way, how? You're not married, you're not going over there for all by yourself. I'm not going to let this happen. So then, I said, my brother is here, it's okay. Anyways, I had the ticket and she started looking for me to get married. So, I wasn't really interested. But then one day she said, well, somebody's going to come visit today, so stay home. So I said, okay, they're going to come at 6:00. And it turned out to be 6:15, 6:30. And I said to my brother, these people don't keep time. I'm not sitting around with them. Let's take the car out. And as we started to back out of the garage, the car was standing there.
Subhanallah.
And so that was my kismet. My husband's family was there. And everything worked well. And my father-in-law was really excited, educated. He was a big education person. And he said, just go over there and get married. I said, no. If he's interested, he comes home and I will marry, and then we will see. So, yes, and so we got married in February 1991. And by March 6th, I was landing in New York with my husband. And, of course, he lived here. He had done some residency, some program in London, and he was in Albany, also working at the Albany Memorial Hospital, and then the residency was at St. Peter's Hospital.
MashaAllah.
So, mashallah, he that was March 6th, I said, and I started to get bored. And by April 1, I was already working at St. Peter's Hospital. I did my residency at St. Peter's Hospital. And I've been here since, and it is 53 years now. So when I first came here, we didn't know many people. There was Dr. Riaz Mirza and Dr. Mohammed Tufail, who has moved back to Pakistan in the meantime, who were here. And they would cook for me and everything. And we lived in the quarters in the hospital for a bit, and then found an apartment across from it. And so we used to get together for dinner. Dr. Ismail was there, and we'd say, how we would hold our prayers at one hospital, other hospital, sometimes the university. We didn't have our own place, and that was disturbing. It was not a lot of people. And then Dr. Ismail just talked about the details of how things happened. And I also remember the time when Shakir al-Aboud, who was Iraqi, but from France, from Paris, and he had been in Boston. Dr. Riaz Mirza he came over here knowing that there are Muslim doctors here. Dr. Riaz Mirza did his surgery. And as Dr. Ismail said, he supported us a lot all the way through and said, build like you would build your own home and I'll pay to the last penny. Wow. And he supported us. And then later on, as the community grew, we needed other things. The place that we talked about in Rensselaer or East Greenbush that the Yemeni brother had offered for the mosque was taken from him, or at his request became our cemetery. So we still have, it's kind of getting filled.
And now we call it the Baytul Rahma? What do we call it?
Baytul Rahma is across the street from here.
Across the street?
It's here. But that one, I don't know if it has a name or not.
East Greenbush Cemetery, I guess.
East Greenbush.
Yeah.
East Greenbush Cemetery,
East Greenbush Cemetery. So, amongst us, we started to gather, do little classes for the children who were coming along. And none of us knew enough. We taught what we knew. And then the Arabic-speaking people, Egyptians mostly, we thought they knew more about it, let them teach. So we started informal teaching. We would borrow a room from the university or other places until this place was built. And that was 1978. That's the year we first went to Hajj.
79.
79? Was it 79? Okay, well, we started to build then. But I remember that we had gone to Hajj. You didn't. Who went with me? Dr. Riaz Mirza went.
1980.
But Brother Khalid came here in 1980.
1975.
Okay, so 3-4 years later.
What is the most vivid memory for you at the beginning of the masjid? Like the thing that you remember so much, opening the first, maybe having the first salah, having the first Ramadan. What was the most vivid and beautiful memory for you that has always come back to you about our
this
masjid?
Place? The prayers and all that became a regular thing because we used to pray here as it was being built, as other things were going on. But my most vivid memory was when they were starting to plant the grass outside.
Yes.
And I had a 2-year-old who was carrying a bale of hay on her head.
Wow.
And putting the bale down on it. And today she is in her 40s. And she has 3 children of her own, mashallah, Hafiz Quran, mashallah. And she works for UNICEF and is posted in Islamabad. But that picture keeps on coming in my mind, how the community together built this place. And there were all these little children and everybody putting part. And, my husband, rahmatullah, and there was a brother, Dr. Ansari, who was a veterinarian. Yes. And so the larger pine trees that are around the building, around the perimeter,
yes, I could see them.
Were planted in one day by the 2 of them and with others' help.
So these trees are 50 years old.
Well, how old is the building? This is going to be 40 years, right?
No,
50.
More, because we have passed 55, I guess.
Yeah.
55.
55 years old.
55, yeah. So a lot of those are older.
MashaAllah.
And
what a
so-
beautiful memories.
Yes.
What a
yes,
beautiful memories.
mashallah.
I mean, mashallah, this elder generation, the third generation, have put the main footsteps for everyone else to come and join this community.
Alhamdulillah.
And I was surprised, to be honest, to know that this is one of the oldest community in the East Coast, period.
In
the
US.
whole
Probably
East Coast,
is.
in the USA.
In the US.
In the USA.
Yeah.
And I was shocked that no one is knowing about, but today, inshallah ta'ala, from going forward, we will record and tell the world the beauty of this community and how did it start all with, an amazing people, pioneers like yourselves. May Allah reward you and allow you to have a big and better place in Jannah, because whoever built a masjid or a house of Allah in the dunya, Allah will build him a house in the Jannah.
I don't want to miss the names
Yes.
who were really the main people.
Well,
One was Dr. Ashraf Chaudhry.
yes.
the husband of Dr.
So
Mussarat.
Dr.
He
Ashraf
the
Chaudhry was
main-
your husband, Sister Mussarat,
Mohammed
right?
Ashraf Chaudhry, yes.
Muhammad Ashraf Chaudhry. May Allah give him Jannah.
Yes.
Ameen.
May Allah raise his status Jannah, and may Allah allow us to join him in Jannah.
Ameen.
Allahumma ameen.
I mean, and we would be amiss if we don't mention Dr. Shahi Zahran.
Absolutely.
He was Egyptian, and he was quite a force behind the community to do
MashaAllah.
things. We might slack off or something, and he'd put us in our place.
Give you
and
that
say,
energy back.
Yeah. And
I think that's the beauty of our religion, subhanAllah.
Yes.
What unite us is Islam.
Yes.
The word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter what place you come from, no matter what ethnicity you are, no matter what language you speak, you just go behind the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we're united. And I think the beauty of that could be seen in the Hajj.
Yes.
That's
The Hajj is such a beautiful mosaic, gathering of all Muslims. But again, you have applied this right here in Schenectady and
Yeah. Yes.
at our
And-
masjid.
And
So-
I would add to that and say that, when I described our community, I would say it's a multicultural, cosmopolitan community. We had people from 14, 15 different countries. And, India, Pakistan, Egypt, we had Turks and Indonesians and
Albanian, I've heard.
Albanians, Bosnians.
Yemenis,
Yeah. Yes.
brother from Yemen.
Yes. Subhanallah.
So I feel
it's always
like,
been
simply,
that.
it's Islam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simply, it's
certainly is,
Muslims.
because if you went to some larger cities, you would find just Pakistani or Bengali.
Correct.
Or,
There's that kind of
but
separation.
this community here was a very special one for that reason.
I believe it's one of the role models for all the foreign communities in the US as a masjids. I think when you unite all of us as Muslims behind the word of Allah and the teaching of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all these boundaries kind of melt, and you really come to realize that we are just slaves of Allah under his shade, and then we are followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Now I'm moving to brother and Dr. Khalid. Dr. Khalid Bhatti, tell us about your early memories. I've just seen Dr. Ismail says that there's some kind of different memories in your side.
Yeah,
So-
my memory is a little bit different.
MashaAllah.
I came here in September of 1975.
Yes,
I came to the USA in January 1970.
yes.
So I went to different places, Westchester, New Rochelle, Long Island, Syracuse, and then finally here. And this is the best place that I've enjoyed. This has created me as me. It's changed my identity, formed my identity in a sense.
Yes,
Yes. So my recollections of some of these things are a little bit different, but let me start with my first experience. I came here and within a couple of days there was Eid.
wow. So that's your first vivid memory of the
in
community.
of coming to Albany.
Subhanallah, you're just coming to Eid festival.
Yeah, and we prayed Eid at the St. Peter's Hospital.
How many people paid Eid at that time? in St. Peter's
Maybe
Hospital?
50, 60.
That's quite a good number in the 70s.
Uh,
It's quite a good number.
and there was a very large Egyptian community here.
Yes.
Compared with the other, the two major nationalities were the Egyptians and the Pakistanis. And the Egyptians were much more attached to the masjid than the Pakistanis were, at least in my memory from that time. So we prayed at St. Peter's. And also I came when some of these things had already been established. At RPI, there was a regular Jummah prayer, and my practice was in Troy. So that was very easily accessible to me.
MashaAllah.
And they had basically a student community. And there were about 30 people, 20 to 30 people that used to pray Jummah over there.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, and there was no regular. I mean, at that time, at least I wasn't aware of any regular salah. But shortly afterwards, the students over there rented an apartment, and they started praying regular salah over there. So that
MashaAllah.
was also probably within either the end of the same year, 1975, or May 76, possibly.
Beginning of
Somewhere around
1976.
76. I lost recollection of that. What happened to me was these people had already organized. They were already in the process of thinking about the masjid. This is fine. Okay, they are already started thinking about it, and in fact, that they had collected about between $13,000 to $14,000. And on the 31st of December, 1975, I think, Ashraf Chaudhry is the fail, and I don't know, maybe.
Riaz Mirza.
A couple of people came, about 3-4 people came to my house, and they said, "We have elected you as the treasurer, and here's the checkbook, and it has 13,000 or some dollars in it." And so we, and they, without any elections, just the few of them said, "You've been made the treasurer as of today."
So you became the treasurer just like that?
Just like that. They came to my house, they handed me the checkbook. And
they didn't give you any choice?
They didn't give me any choice.
But I believe you were so happy serving. And
I was confused. But I knew that responsibility had been, put on my shoulders to some extent. We were not about collecting the money, but just keeping track of the money. So soon after, right afterwards, at that time, people were having a weekly halakha at St. Peter's Hospital. Mm-hmm. And we used to meet on Sundays and read Quran and as brief tafsir and talked a little bit.
So that's back in 1970?
That was, now we are maybe up to 76, 76. Soon afterwards. And then a little bit later, we started. We were able to get place from a church at Madison Avenue.
Yes,
and we were regularly meeting over there. I had become familiar a little bit with the two families that were in Troy, where they in East Greenbush, where they have the cemetery.
Correct.
And one of the most, I think, very significant event in the history of the community was one time then we were going to have a general body meeting.
Yes.
And Haji Ali came to the meeting with 18 paper votes. He had talked to all his families, had him sign a piece of paper saying that they wanted to vote to build the masjid in Troy, in East Greenbush.
In East Greenbush.
Yeah. Fortunately, there were 19 people who voted against it.
So that was the moment that changed the history of this masjid from being in East Greenbush to be here at Schenectady.
Yeah, at least we didn't go to East Greenbush at that time.
Yes.
Then the community appointed me to talk to Haji Ali and make that into a masjid. Into a cemetery, the one small piece of land, that half an acre or something that he wanted to give initially. And they were very, it was very complicated. It took years, and it was, he wanted to give, but he wanted to have this condition, that condition. It just went on until unfortunately, his grandson died. Mm-hmm. Oh. He was an infant, and overnight they made that into a cemetery.
Wow. So it just happened to overnight they made it a cemetery.
Overnight, I don't know what they did, but they got some permissions or something like that, and they were able to bury under the big tree in the corner where you pull into this driveway, and they buried him. And then subsequently, also I had long contacts with them. They were Dr. Ismail's patients, and also they were coming to me as well. Mm-hmm. So, but at least we got the cemetery that way, and now we were left. We had made a decision not to build the masjid over there.
Sister Mussarat have something to add at this point.
I did want to add it because, that was not an easy time, because these guys would meet here or somewhere and it'll be 4 a.m. and I'll be saying, call my husband to say, where are you? It's 4 a.m. and we're still arguing, and a lot of them, and including my husband, would say the Muslims cannot travel this much, the masjid, nobody's going to go down to East Greenbush. Let's stay here. And there were very intense discussions, and I think they were important, and I think the result was good.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
So my recollection for moving to this particular land was that when I came, I couldn't understand why we have a trouble finding a piece of land, and there's so much green area everywhere, and so I joined the other people and we started looking. We didn't find until one day Shauki Zaran said, I was driving by this road and he saw this piece of land, and it is $16,500, and I know we raised that money in about 1 minute because we were having a trustee meeting at Zulfikar's apartment, and everybody said $2,000, and within a minute we had $18,000 to buy this land. Yeah,
Subhanallah.
and honestly, in my mind, I think Shauki was the real engine who moved the community forward. I mean, his contribution was beyond reality to me. He cashed his pension plan, he gave it to the masjid. He visited this place every single day. Did you hear that? What I told you? Okay. I said we were, the day Shauki Zaran saw this piece of land, we were having a trustee meeting in house of brother Zulfikar.
Yes.
He left the area a long time ago, went to Middle East, and currently right now he's in New York visiting. But we were meeting at his apartment, and everybody who was at the meeting pledged $2,000, and we had $18,000 right away. So the land was about $16,500, something in that neighborhood. And soon afterwards, we were able to hire an architect, and we built the masjid. The interesting thing was, I was the treasurer at that time, and the interesting thing was that we used to get so big packages of mail because there was an ad in Horizon that we are building a masjid and please contribute. And there would be $1 and sometimes a few cents, and sometimes,
from across the U.S.,
from all over the U.S., and many people from jail, and would be sending $1 or $2.
This is very amazing.
Yeah, and
this is phenomenal.
It was really phenomenal. I mean, getting a bag full of mail and just getting $85 out of it, or something like that.
But I believe each one of these dollars meant so much for their people who donating it.
And that was actually brought tears to my eyes as I would open those packages, and with
any of these messages that you remember or touched you from these packages. Some messages came across you, and then you remember.
The most touching were for the people sending money from jail.
Wow. Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So they're trying to retribute themselves by sharing and opening the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
Wow.
And the next thing that was really interesting was that people said, this masjid is too big. Why are you building a masjid this big? This is before actually it's built.
Yes.
Why are you building this masjid? Why don't you just buy a ranch house and there will be a bathroom already, and just put another masjid, bathroom, and that will be the masjid, that will be big enough. So that, but and the first Jummah that I remember was, and I'm pretty sure this memory is correct, was July 4th, 1979.
July 4th, 1979.
It was a Friday.
No.
And we had Abu Saud. He was he was running a Islamic bank somewhere in the Middle East.
Correct.
And he had, he was a very knowledgeable person about Islamic finance and well-rounded in Islamic knowledge as well. So he gave the first khutbah.
That was the first khutbah officially?
Yes.
1979.
Yeah, July 4th, 79.
July 4th, 1979. The first khutbah at ICCD.
Yes.
Subhanallah.
So, and that was the first formal prayer also.
Yes.
So, and the other thing is, these people had done a lot of work, and Ashraf Chaudhry, God bless him, he was he loved plants and trees.
MashaAllah.
So the first thing that we did as soon as we were able to get the clean
trees,
he was leading the thing and people were planting the trees. That was a very vivid memory in my mind.
Subhanallah. What a beautiful memory, though.
Yeah.
Because those trees will stay there.
Those trees are here
as a reminder of the pioneers and the builders of this community, mashallah.
So this, and so we started, of course, the regular prayers at that time. Shauki Zahran was the person leading the prayers. And so that continued for a while. And then the next thing that was significant was that we hired a full-time imam.
Who was the first imam? Am I asking?
He was also Egyptian.
Yes.
Sheikh Muta al-Jabri.
His name is Muta'
al-Jabri.
Muta' al-Jabri.
Yeah. Now you have to remember that Shauki Zahran was one of the youth in the Akhwanul Muslimin.
Okay.
So all of these people that were coming were all somehow connected with that.
SubhanAllah. Those are beautiful memories.
Yes.
Now I'm going to ask you something very interesting question for all of you, my respected guests. Tell me a funny and something that's really interesting or funny, made you laugh so much at the beginning. A story about that was very funny, or something that was like very interesting and it kind of made you laugh every time you remember it, of the early memories of this masjid. Any a memory that is not dear to your heart, make you laugh, make you smile, make you feel, subhanallah, I'm really loving that I'm connected to this community. Go ahead, Dr. Ismail.
When 9/11 happened,
okay,
we thought that it will be a bad time for Muslims.
Okay.
This was the time when we have the Sheikh Hanuti Imam over here.
Okay.
This was the time that people thought that now that's the end of the Muslim era. And what surprised us? That was the time that we needed most Quran to distribute freely. There was a request from the non-Muslims
to learn about our religion,
to learn about the Islam, to learn about Quran. They will request the copy of Quran. And at that time, we will hold over here open house, introducing about Islam in the neighborhood community.
Yes.
And one time, Sheikh Hanuti spoke about the Surah Maryam.
SubhanAllah.
Let the community know that Mary is mentioned in Quran. And
she have an own chapter after her name.
That's right, full name.
Whole chapter.
And they were not aware of that. That was a relieving moment for us that, alhamdulillah, there were some incidents, but not major problem.
I think it was building bridges between us and all the other communities around us.
And soon after that, there was time that there were some more new Muslims coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was
beautiful. Sister Mussarat, anything you remember, or Dr.
I don't remember anything that.
What is something happening?
But there were a lot of happy occasions, though.
Yeah, just mention us one of these happy occasions.
It was just like being joyful in the company of other Muslims.
Absolutely.
Just sharing, food and dessert, and just feeling very comfortable in your own environment more than any other time.
It felt like home.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense that, when you were outside, there were challenges sometimes, not all the time. And,
now we're hearing the voice of the adhan, which is, mashallah, beautiful. And I think our brother who's doing the adhan is brother
Subhi Salim.
Subhi Salim. And I think he was here.
Yes, you have to interview him, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. But I think he's, when I came first here and brothers were telling me, we love it as especially in Jumu'ahs. It's been there for so many years. So Brother Subhi was here, I think, at the early stages of the building community, inshallah.
Every time he makes adhan, I go back to that time.
40 years back, 50 years back. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. And he, mashallah, have beautiful voice as well.
Beautiful voice.
May Allah
yes.
bless him and give him a prosperous life. And allow all of you, inshallah ta'ala, to keep giving, because you never stop giving.
Yeah.
And I believe your legacy, I think it's going to last, inshallah ta'ala, a lifetime.
Yes.
After the Azan, I'll say something.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
remembered something to say.
Something.
Allah.
So, brother, at that time,
Yes.
I remember in the beginning, we had a imam who can speak only Arabic, not English.
Correct.
Shauki Zoran arranged that he will build a tent, a small tent, in the mosque, where he will sit in that tent so that his voice don't go out.
And he will translate.
And he will have the headphone, he will listen to the imam in Arabic, and then he will translate.
Live translation.
And we will sit with the headphone on so that we can hear his voice, not the imam's voice,
Subhanallah.
his voice in English.
Absolutely.
And all those audience who were sitting in front of imam, they will have the headphone.
Have these headphones.
So you can see that how it looked like at that time. But we enjoyed.
But that's an amazing effort as well, sitting
That's right.
outside, whether it's hot, cold. He's outside just translating life.
Yeah.
What a beautiful memories, mashallah.
It
System
was,
Sadat,
it
you have
was
some-
Sheikh Batala Jabri
Yes.
who was the first,
Yeah,
who was
Batala
being
Jabri.
translated. And again, the equipment was all donated by Shakra Labooth. Is
Shakra
what I
Labooth,
remember.
wow.
Shakra Labooth.
So you have some memory also you want to share
Well,
with
the
us.
memories I remember earlier here was we used to do dinners in Ramadan, and we used to do Eid dinners, and there were no places to cater and nobody would cook. We used to cook. And I remember one of those events, I baked 24 cakes. It was an event when I made jalebi. You know what jalebi is?
Of course.
Jalebi.
Of
So I
course.
made jalebi till my husband said, "When are you going to stop? The house is going to go off with the jalebi you smell." And yet, I used to call people in the beginning of the month and say, "When are you going to cook? How much are you going to cook?" And we would arrange, and we would have food here, home cooked and beautiful and good memories. We would talk about old times and future, aspirations.
I believe back then, just having some Muslims around felt like you're home.
It is, because I remember the time when earlier on, when we had just arrived here, is we would look to the yellow pages. You probably don't know what the yellow pages
Of course
were.
I know.
Okay, so the yellow pages, find the names that look like they were Muslim names, or go shopping and find
Let's call
somebody
them. Let's give them a
dressed-
call and see.
Bring them over. Come on over for dinner. And, that's how we started to connect and build a community. Yeah.
MashaAllah,
Subhanallah.
tabarakallah. Brother Khalid, Dr. Khalid, any other memories you have to mention?
No, there are tons and tons of memories, that were worth mentioning. But I think there are more memories of the way you felt,
Absolutely.
and it was a spiritual connection. Of course, there were a lot of very tough times and difficult times and strange times. One of the things was I came here and I said, "What do you do about zabiya meat?" And they said, "What's zabiya meat?"
Subhanallah.
We
They didn't even know what the
we-
meat
you know,
is. Halal meat, they didn't have an idea what is it.
Yeah, they used to go to a Jewish, place, and they buy kosher meat from there. Some
Kosher,
of
yeah, we
them.
can eat kosher as well.
I said, "I'm not eating kosher meat also."
I'm eating halal.
No, so for quite some time I was making.
The biha.
People would get together.
So I went to a place where they used to slaughter cows,
Correct.
and I made a deal with them
That you go there and you
that
do
I
that.
would and it was really very interesting that I would actually go dressed in my suit,
Yes.
and they would one garbage can bag on his
On
leg,
you, yeah.
on one garbage bag on this
Correct.
leg, and then they'd give me a rubber coat, and I would tie this thing up through the belt,
Yes.
and the garbage, and I would actually show up there at 5:30 in the morning, slaughter 1, 2, 3, typically 2 or 3, and cows, and it was very, very easy because they used to hang them upside down, and 3, 4 people who used to hold it.
It's a special
And-
place that everything is set up there, but you
Yeah.
just have to do the slaughtering. And say
Right.
Bismillah ar-Rahman
Yeah,
ar-Rahim, Allahu Akbar.
So I did that for a few years, and then my wife used to go and pick up the meat and deliver them.
MashaAllah.
So
MashaAllah.
that was very interesting because I've didn't have any kosher meat ever. It never took that easy road. And another time I ordered ordering halal chicken, and it turned out that the least they could, or least minimum order was 1,080 pounds.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
So I took the guts and I ordered 1,080 pounds.
MashaAllah. And where did you store them?
It showed up in my. No, I told my wife. I said, you
Buy a
have
fridge.
you have to make sure that everybody who wants it need to come and pick it up right away. The
Correct.
moment we tell them.
Absolutely.
So we lined up enough people so that people were getting like 40 pounds each or something like that.
Look at these memories nowadays. Subhanallah, everything is available.
Yeah.
Everything is easy to get with a lot of halal Muslim halal shops around.
Yeah.
Back then, this was really a
So-
struggle that you have to do a lot of sacrifice and do investments to have.
And we were afraid that if whatever is left will go bad, but we had like 40-pound bags or something like that. So everybody did come and pick them up. That was a few years later, after
Subhanallah.
So I remember that Gabriel and said, looking at this, said, how are we going to get rid of this?
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
So,
And today you
never
find,
did that again.
Yeah, today you find halal restaurants and all
Everywhere.
these things everywhere.
Everywhere.
Last night we were up in Bolton because they were going to be the Northern Lights show,
Yeah.
in the sky.
Correct.
You've heard the Blurus
Yes. Correct.
Borealis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went up there, and way on top of the mountain by Lake George, there is a halal restaurant,
Yeah.
kebab something. And that's where we had dinner.
Dr.
So it's
Ismail.
everywhere.
Yes, go ahead.
I used to do the residency at St. Peter's.
Yes.
There was a QC auditorium. I'll request the security that I want to
Pray.
rent for a while, for a few hours on Sunday.
To pray.
And we were using for our Muslim community activities,
Gatherings. and community.
gatherings. Once I left the St. Peter's, joined VA Hospital, I got the call from the president of St. Peter's. That was a lady, sister, Lalor. She was
And
president.
Lawler.
Yeah, she called me. She asked me, Dr. Ismail, you are using our auditorium. I say, yes. I heard that you are using for your Muslim activities. I say, yes. She said that, do you know that our policy does not allow any religious activity?
Wow.
I say, I didn't know that. So she said, now you know it, right? I say, yes. Please don't do next time. I say, okay, that's fine. Then after a while,
Yes.
from Paris, Maurice Buchel, he was the surgeon in Paris, and he wrote a book, Bible, Quran, and Science.
Yes.
He came over here. Brother Khalid arranged a lecture in Sunni.
Yes.
And then he asked me, can you get the hall for St. Peter's? I said, well, I was prohibited, but I'll try.
Yes.
So I went to security. I requested that I want to use again for 2 hours, and they allowed me.
Wow.
And we did the conference over there, his lecture.
Yes.
He brought the books, he sold. And that was the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, we were sure that he may be Muslim,
Yes.
but that was not very clear.
Yeah, publicly he was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he ever became a Muslim formally. That was very, very interesting. I picked up I bought the book, I read the book, and I decided to pick up the phone and try to find out. I called him and he picked up the phone, and I said, I want to invite you to come to Albany And he said, it's shocking to me how it easy turned up. He said, I'm actually coming to the USA, and there is such a person, I don't know which city. You just talk to him, and all you need to do is the date that you're asking. On that day, the weekend before, I'm going to be in such and such place. The weekend after that, I'm going to be in such and such place. So you just pay from there to Albany, and Albany to Boston, and I'll be here for a day or two.
SubhanAllah. Inshallah ta'ala, I believe we will meet more with you, because today is the first official recording for our studio.
Oh, mashallah.
Here. And I meant to have the first recording, with the first, and the earliest pioneers and the builders of the community being yourselves. I want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward you in this dunya.
Ameen. Ameen.
And to keep the larger and the most amount of reward in the akhirah.
Ameen.
I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow this masjid to grow 10, 20, 30 times more. And our neighbor masajid, who actually also, a benefit of the beginning of this masjid, to grow even 20 and 30 times more. I ask Allah to keep our Muslim community together.
Ameen.
Strong.
Ameen.
I ask Allah to bring the hearts back to all our masajid.
Ameen.
And to allow the words of Allah to be spread in peace. And to make understand everybody around us that we are builders. Muslims are builders. We build, we make things better, and we make things much more beautiful. Alhamdulillah. And nothing is better than example, mashallah, than your contribution to this masjid and those beautiful stories of the early times that tells our next generation that look how the pioneers of this community have done. You could do the same and learn from their lessons and do even much more anywhere in the world. Subhanallah. I want to thank you, Dr. Ismail, and Sister Mussarat. I want to thank Dr. Mussarat as well, Dr. Chaudhry, I'm sorry, and Dr. Ismail, right? I can say Dr. Ismail, Dr. Mohammed Ismail.
Mohammed Ismail.
Naam.
Thank you.
And Dr. Mussarat Chaudhry, Dr. Khalid Bhatti. It was an amazing pleasure to meet each one of you. I am humbled.
Brother, it's very, God gave us a chance.
Yes.
And I don't want to forget certain names that they were the pioneers of this community.
You can mention them right now. Shall I can mention them? I'm going to try to see if I can bring whoever is around us. If we'll make dua for the people who have passed away already. But you can go ahead and mention some names, and all of us can mention the names.
One brother, Dr. Kavi Khan, he was the scientist. He moved to somewhere else now, but he was also part of very actively working person. Dr. Tufel.
Yes.
He moved to Pakistan in 1982.
Correct.
He was very active with this one. As I mentioned, Dr. Shoki Zohran.
Correct.
He was the person that will always be here. Besides his duty, he will lead the prayer as well, will give the khatra as well, and he will manage bringing the new speakers as well. And Dr. Ashraf Chaudhry, that was his actually project. He will be here most of the time. Very strong person, very strong will, and he did very well for us.
MashaAllah. May Allah give him Jannat. May Allah raise his status. Allahumma ameen. Sister Mussarat, do you have anybody you want to mention names also?
I think, there's some people still around.
Absolutely.
We
will have them our guests, inshallah. Inshallah, the whole point of is to introduce everyone who have contributed the early science, inshallah, in the early days of the ICCD community and masjid, inshallah. We'll have them all together with us. We'll be honored to have them.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Brother Sopi Salim, who is still the muazzin here, mashallah.
Yes.
And who else was it? And then there's Ayaz Malik, who was here before I came. I introduced him to you the other day. He was with a walker.
Absolutely.
And Brother Sabr Siddiqui, who has a large family here. And
inshallah, we're going to host them all here, inshallah, soon.
And I think Kavi Khan is still, his wife passed away, but he's around. He's the uncle of Brother Adil Khan. Adil Khan, we've been working on that other project with, was his uncle. And Adil had come here as a student. And
Riaz Mirza.
Dr. Riaz Mirza, we have to mention.
Absolutely.
Very strong supporter
Inshallah.
of the community.
Absolutely.
And more recently, really a good supporter of An-Nur School.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
May Allah bless him and bless
inshallah.
everyone who have been
Inshallah.
and around us. Dr. Khalid, anybody else want to mention?
I think everybody contributed so much, whatever they could. One other thing that I want to mention, which is very interesting, and and also recognize this brother,
Go ahead.
Imdad Imam.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's moved to the Fatima Masjid, and they built that particular masjid. And when the first Iraq War took place, and as usual, the reporters that come to collect information and do a little interview, they've been programmed to ask certain questions, and they always bring up this question of Shia Sunni divide and how is that going to affect and that sort of thing. So the reporter asked the question, and Imdad Imam immediately said, I am a Shia. Brother Khalid is the president of the masjid. I am the treasurer. He is a Sunni. I am a Shia. We don't have any problems. How do you keep coming up with these kind of questions?
Well, I think, subhanAllah, in America, I believe it's just a beautiful way that we can put all of these things aside, and as first, not only Muslims, I guess, but also as humans, we all serve a purpose of peace and understanding each other. Subhanallah. And I believe all wars mostly come from greed and politics, which have nothing to do with power, politics, and greed, which have nothing to do with Islam. Most of the time, a lot of the times.
In places like this, we have learned to coexist much more nicely than others.
Correct.
And we've gone to their fundraisings as well, and we have gone to activities over there.
Sure.
Yes, there are different ways of looking at the religion. And
here's the thing. I will tell you something. Here's the thing. Everybody, practice the path that they think it's correct for them. But at the end of the day, we can, be also friends and talk to each other and be, friendly and coexist together in a very, peaceful way. Yes, Dr. Ismail.
Yeah, just memory came back. Mustafa Al-Qadi.
Yes.
He was very good friend for the community. One time he said, Dr. Ismail, if you build the social hall, I'll donate $200,000.
MashaAllah.
That was a big amount at that time in 1995.
That's a huge amount. This is equivalent to $1 million in change today or more, actually.
And I tried my best to get that money, but he never agreed. One time I took Sheikh Jafar with me to New York, where he used to live next to the Washington Bridge.
Yes.
And he said, okay, if you give me the architect plan, I will donate.
MashaAllah.
So I requested trustee. Trustee did not want to pay for the architect plan. So I paid for it. And I took to him, and he did not agree to that. Finally, he died in 1997.
Subhanallah.
After a month, his attorney called me and said that yes, he has in his will mentioned about the donation to ICCD to build the social hall, $200,000, and $9,000 per year for the Islamic school for the Arabic teaching.
Subhanallah.
So that was good. I said, okay, how we can get that? He said that he has formed the trust of 5 people.
Yes.
And among 5 people, I was the one trustee.
Subhanallah.
So, okay, what I have to do? You will have to come every year to Geneva in the bank.
Correct.
And you will have to attend the meeting. So I start going every year, hoping that
to
maybe
Geneva.
Someday I'll get $200,000.
Yes.
But it was planned this way that once you start building the hall, then they will pay in installment.
Correct.
We started building this MCC.
Correct.
That was the beginning, $200,000, which nothing happened. It cost millions of dollars, that MCC. But that was the beginning. From that part, we start building
Kickstart the building.
Yeah.
And then everything went from there.
So MCC completed 10 years ago.
Yes.
And we got all the money donated to this building.
MashaAllah.
His requirement was that there should be a plaque with his name in MCC, and there is a plaque in his
I've
name.
seen it.
Yeah, you have seen that.
Yes.
That's the plaque that he started
Requested.
that, 200,000.
Mashallah.
And we are still getting $9,000 per year for the school.
Are we still getting it for the school?
Eh?
Do we still get it for the school?
Yeah, every
I'll
year.
have to find out about that.
Zahid was, right now, I used to go every year till 2013.
Yes.
And then my wife got sick, so I resigned, and I assigned my son-in-law. Now, my son-in-law and my daughter, they are right now in Geneva for that
MashaAllah.
meeting.
MashaAllah.
They'll be coming back today, So
MashaAllah.
it's still the trust is going on, meeting going on. Still we are getting $9,000 per year for the school.
See how beautiful of legacy he have left.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah. And this legacy, I think, in his grave, it's coming to him, inshallah, as hasanat, as greetings and blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Inshallah.
I think we have to learn from
That's
you, from your experiences. What a beautiful legacy. I think everything you plant, no matter how much think it's small, like the example of $1 from people in the prison, example of putting the trees and holding or making even the trees, an example of putting the 200,000, even a $9,000, but continuously donating. I think this will put us, just be humbled to learn and to use these lessons for all our future generation.
Inshallah.
That it's not, it's just only the beginning. Because inshallah ta'ala Islam is ever growing and ever spreading, inshallah ta'ala. I want to say jazakumullah khairan. It was a pleasure meeting you. What a beautiful meeting today. And inshallah ta'ala we'll meet you again and again over again.
Inshallah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless each one of you and allow you and us to serve our Muslim ummah and to make this masjid inshallah ta'ala and all the other masajid around us
Ameen.
as beautiful and even more beautiful as they are, inshallah.
Ameen.
جزاكم الله خيرا.
آمين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان في خسر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Wa alaikum.